Welcome to the September the 10th pre-taping of a history tape number 287 as we continue to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. We're very excited today. We have two very special young men that are making history every day in Grand Prairie, Texas, in the field of television and media. We're very pleased, first of all, to welcome Jerry Cantu. And Jerry, welcome to the set.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
It's very seldom that you're on this side of the dais, and you have a very important role. And that would go also for Mr. Louis Tovar, our next guest. Mr. Louis Tovar, welcome to the set.
Thank you.
And he feels very uncomfortable on this set because you know, Jerry, he is our boss of operations here in production at TCI. But he's a very special young man with a Hispanic heritage, just as are you. And we've decided to dedicate this segment of Hispanic Heritage Month to you two young men that really have been successful in our eyes in your endeavors and some of your pursuits of life. And we thought we would do this as the ending of our Hispanic Heritage Month segment. And let's begin with you.
Okay.
All right. Jerry Cantu. First of all, look out into your camera and establish your genealogy. Give us the names of your parents and anything you want to say about your parents. If you have grandparents that were very special to you, we'd like for you to document that because this is going to be your tape, your 15 minutes.
Great.
Right.
My grandparents are from Carrizo Springs, Texas. Both sets of my grandparents were from Mexico.
Yes.
And immigrated to the United States, you know, a long time ago. I couldn't
Yes.
exactly tell you when.
Yes.
Early 1900s. Both were farmers and were into the agricultural side of the business and,
Yes.
and owned several acres of land out there. My mother and father both grew up in a small town called Carrizo Springs.
Yes.
Both went to the same high school. It was a small town of about, I think at the time, roughly maybe 1,000 people.
Yes.
Right around the war, the time of the Vietnam War, my parents married, and my father was shipped across to Vietnam. Before that, though, I was born, and I was born in Virginia, Fairfax County, Virginia, up near D.C.
Yes.
And not too long after that, when my father came back from Vietnam, we moved to Grand Prairie, Texas, where we've been ever since. So, you know, my father still lives in Grand Prairie, as does my mother, and they're both still very close, and we've kept our roots here in Grand Prairie.
And you would like to name them both, wouldn't
Yes,
you?
my mother is Alejandra Cantu, and my father is David Cantu.
All right. And did you have any brothers or sisters?
I have two sisters and one brother. Sisters are Laura and Lucinda Cantu.
Are they Grand Prairians?
They're also Grand Prairians. And my
Great.
brother is Martin Antonio Cantu. All of us went through Grand Prairie schools, and all of us are still reside in Grand Prairie. My brother has gone on to graduate from DeVry and is now working in an electronics company up in North Dallas.
Yes.
And my sisters are currently in college over at Mountain View College, so
Yes,
they're still, you know, going through their studies and
Mother and daddies are working to put kids through school,
yes,
right?
exactly. My mother's actually got close to 25 years, 20 to 25 years with the United States Postal Service.
Yes.
And my father is still in the machinery business. He's a machinist for a Japanese company over in Dallas, and he's done that for several years. So
That is great.
both of them have been very stable and established for quite some time.
Grand Prairie, Texas. What brought them to Grand Prairie, Texas, and you along with them?
At the time, it was Vaught. I guess back used to be LTV, and my father worked there, you know, because he was in the service, and they were still, you know, building several I guess, systems for the defense contracts, and he got on with them. And at the time, I guess they were still, you know, building the planes and several of the other parts necessary for some of the other planes that they were building at the time for the Vietnam War. So.
And give us the anthology of your schools. Where all did you attend school in Grand Prairie, Texas?
Started at Bonham Elementary.
Bonham, okay.
Through first grade. And at the time, I think right when I went into first grade, they had just built Rayburn, and I was
Yes.
one of the first kids to go through Rayburn. So I transferred over to Rayburn Elementary.
Yes.
You know, and from there I went over to Jackson Middle School.
And
And then from Jackson on to South.
and
South
then
Grand Prairie High
became a
School.
warrior at
Yes.
South Grand Prairie High. All right. At Bonham, you spent only 1 year there, or at Bonham 1 year, and then on to Rayburn. You have any favorite teachers that really did inspire you, that really made you really want to study, or?
Well, on the elementary level, I think it was a teacher by the name of Mr. Van. I don't quite remember his first name, but it was actually the first male teacher I ever had. And
Yes.
male teachers are very rare, you know, on the elementary
Yes.
level. They don't have many of them.
You
there.
were impressed.
Yes, I was impressed, and you know, I was, you know, go above and beyond just to, you know, to please him and to impress him as any way possible, and it carried on through.
How about Jackson Middle School?
At Jackson Middle School, I think the teacher that stands out the most was Miss Allen, Miss Sharon Allen, who's now our assistant superintendent. I had her for science back then, and you know, again, she instilled in us the
STEM winder, isn't she?
exactly.
Yes, yes.
And she helped us a lot and instilled in us the you know, the notion to just keep studying and stick with your studies. Many of the teachers that I went through, as far as Jackson Middle School, as far as, you know, that taught me, are now at South. Miss Sanders is another one that impressed me a lot and had a lot of influence on me.
When you were going to South and getting close to graduation, what did you have in your idea as a career at that time?
At the time, I guess like most you know, freshmen and sophomores, I really didn't see anything
Yeah.
you know, further than my next
Yes.
day at school or
Yeah.
the next semester. I think as an elective, I took a class. It was a radio TV class that I took just as an elective, you know, on a whim. And on the first day, I think it was a sophomore, on the first day of class, I almost ended up dropping the class because I figured, well, this is going to be too hard, it's too much work. But I stuck with it, and actually I stuck with it because I had to, because the counselor said, well, I'm sorry, we can't move you anywhere else, so you have to stay in the class. And luckily, I stayed in the class and ended up liking it so much that I decided to make it a career path. And I spent the next 3 years in that class under Miss Donegan's tutelage.
Yes.
And she was the one that affected me the most as far as influencing my career and my future.
And then
Miss Billy Donegan.
From South and Billy Donegan, you went to
North Lake College.
North Lake. It
Studied
has
at
a
North Lake.
wonderful media class,
Yes,
doesn't it?
yes, one of the best. As a matter of fact, South has a co-op program set up with them where it'll allow a student that has gone through our entire media tech program at South to actually skip the first year of their media tech program at North Lake because they've learned so much and our curriculum is so advanced that it allows them to go on and move on ahead of some of the other students that are just now beginning media tech at the college level. So,
After college, what brought you back to South?
well, after college, I went into the workforce in the media field and spent several years as a graphics editor and a cameraman, freelance cameraman, going from job to job, doing corporate video, did commercials, and then finally stuck with one company called Kaleidoscope Video as a graphics editor working with computer graphics and 3D animation. Miss Donegan called, and I'd still stayed in touch with her from time to time, to keep tabs on how her program is doing. She called and said, well, there's a position that's going to be opening up, in the media technology program, and they're looking for another instructor. And at the time, I hadn't even thought about teaching. I was liking what I was doing. I liked the field, but she said, well, not only can you, stay in the media field, but you can also teach, students about some of the things that are coming up in the industry and give them some real-world experience as far as what goes on in the workplace. And just on a whim, I decided to go ahead and apply and went through the application process and beat out a couple of other applicants that, that I think they had more experience as far as the education on the degree level, but they didn't have the work experience that I had. And the district saw the need for that, seeing as how it was a career and technology field on the vocational level. They were really wanting an instructor that could pass along the hands-on experience and some of the experiences they might come across in the workplace. And coming back to South was just one of the greatest things in the world. And it was just a perfect fit. I graduated from the program, and it was an opportunity to come back into the program
and give back.
And give back exactly what I took beforehand.
How do the students take to you when they find out that you are an ex-warrior?
Well, the first thing they do, a lot of them look at the old yearbooks.
Yes,
to see exactly what I look like, and they say, "Man, you graduated back in '84. How old are you?" And
yes,
and the truth is, things have not changed much at all since since I've left. Of course, the kids are dealing with a lot more complex issues than when I was in high school, but
yes.
The same issues still remain as far as how boyfriends and girlfriends can affect your schoolwork, and
yes.
some of the trials and tribulations that everyday students face in school. Walking down the halls, it's as if I never left.
Yes.
The same things are still there.
Do you have a family of your own?
I do have a family. My wife is April Dawn, and we've been married almost 7 years now.
Yes.
And I've got 2 little girls, Courtney and Kendall. Courtney is 5.5, and Kendall is 2.5.
That will keep you busy the rest of your life, getting money to go send them to school, right?
Definitely. Well, Courtney's already started kindergarten, so she's not in the district yet. She's with Loving Care We School, which is
yes.
at one of the Methodist churches here in Grand Prairie, and she's going through their private program for now, and then we will eventually move her into the district, where she'll be attending school at Florence Hill, which is one of our best elementary schools, and we look forward to having her do that.
What would you foresee as your next career advancement in the media and whatever?
Well, as far as career advancement, I think right now I'm happy where I'm at, and I'm very excited, with what I'm doing, and I don't see any future moves anytime soon.
You just
I will
love
stay
it
with the
there.
program. Yes, I will. I'm not going to go anywhere anytime soon. Miss Donna again has talked to me, several times about taking over the program. From her when she decides to move on, and
yes.
I told her, well, you're not going anywhere anytime soon.
She's into the decathlon and all of this other
She's
good
into
stuff.
academic decathlon,
Yes.
There are a lot of other activities that she's involved in, and if at the moment, if she left anytime soon, we'd miss her greatly. So I'm trying to work my way into being prepared for that moment when she does decide to move on, and I'll take over the program from her.
I'm going to get back with you in a few minutes, but
okay.
We're going to clue in on Louis Tovar here. Louis Tovar, you have been the production honcho here for a couple of 3 years.
Well, no, about
2?
No, since October.
Just since October?
Yeah, it's been
time flies when we're
10, 11
having
months,
fun.
yeah.
All right, Louis Tovar, let's start out from the word go. Would you establish your genealogy, give us your parents' names, and tell us where you were born, and anything else you'd like to tell about your parents?
Sure. My parents are Minerva and Louis Tovar Jr. I have one brother. His name is Daniel. He's 25. I was born in 1967. I guess that makes me 29. And my grandmother, my grandmother and mother, they've kind of told me a little bit about how they came to this country, because
Yes.
my grandmother is not a naturalized citizen.
Yes.
They lived in Matamoros, and I believe she was from around Matamoros, Mexico.
Yes.
Around there, and they immigrated a long time ago.
Yes.
My grandmother did immigrated to Weslaco, Texas.
Weslaco.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I guess my mom was born in Weslaco, and then back when she was like 15 or 16, my brother, her brother, my uncle, took her. He said, "We're leaving here. I'm going to take you, to another place so you could have a better opportunity." So he packed up the whole family, took my grandmother as well, and packed up for West Dallas.
All
And
right.
that was back in 1959, I believe, 1960. Mm-hmm. That may be a little later than that, but that's from what I remember. And there she met my dad, who also worked in Dallas, over there in the Oak Cliff area.
Yes.
And they married, and after they married, they moved to Grand Prairie.
What brought them to Grand Prairie, Texas?
I don't know. I think it was the fact that it was a small town at that time.
Liked it better than West Dallas?
Yeah, I believe so. It's
Yes.
as far as what brought them there, maybe the housing, maybe just maybe it was their dream house that they
Yes,
wanted,
all right.
that happened to be in Grand Prairie.
Okay, and Louis Tovar, coming to Grand Prairie, Texas, where did you go to school in Grand Prairie?
I went first to LBJ Elementary,
Okay,
and then from there I went to Jackson.
all right.
Jackson Middle School, and then from there I went to South Grand Prairie.
You've almost been on the same path as Mr. Cantu, except you started at LBJ. Tell me about your tenure at LBJ. Favorite teachers? What was your favorite subject? Did you play
I was always
soccer?
into no, not back then. I guess I was into English.
All
I don't
right.
know, and math. English and math were favorite subjects of mine.
You have a favorite teacher there?
I can only think of one, and that is Miss Lopez.
Yes.
And that was a long time ago. And also a lady that I met recently at the new teacher luncheon that I believe taught me either at LBJ or Jackson. I think she said Jackson. That was Miss Alderman.
Yes, yes.
And it's for some reason.
Dorothy Alderman.
Yes, for some reason her name. I believe I was in a class of hers, but just names pop in and out that you recognize.
All right, and
And
then
that's-
then from LBJ on over to Jackson Middle School. All right, any favorites there? What?
I joined the band at Jackson. As a matter of
Okay,
fact.
all right.
Yeah.
What'd you play?
I played the baritone
All right.
there, and I was there. I played my seventh and eighth grade year. I played in the band there.
And who was the band leader?
Boy, that
was a long time
that's
ago.
quite a while.
Yeah.
I know his face.
All right.
I know he jumped on me quite a bit too.
Yes. And other than band, was there anything that impressed you at Jackson Middle School?
Not that comes to mind.
Do you remember
It,
your principal?
I believe it was. Well, maybe was it Don Blanchard? It was.
He
I
could-
believe he was at LBJ.
Yes.
As far as Jackson, at principal at that time.
You know, that's unusual. All of our boys of the month blank out their middle school time. It's very hard to bring any of that good stuff back to memory. I think they wipe it all out. But now,
You speed
Yeah.
through there, and
All
you
right.
hope to get to
All
high
right.
school. That was the main thing.
And then you went to South. And tell me about your tenure at South. When you were a freshman at South, what was your impression of the campus?
Well, it's pretty big.
Yeah.
I lost my way quite a bit.
Oh, you did?
I got lost quite a bit around South at that time. You go to like Jackson where it seemed a little smaller, even though it was two-story. It was kind of small. We went
Yeah.
to South, and
What
you
was
had-
that, 14 years ago that you started at South?
At South, that would be 1982, I believe. 1982. I started at South, and
Okay.
it was just an enormous school to me.
Yes.
Rooms were everywhere.
Yes. Were there any special friends that you made, or any special
Oh
teachers
yes,
that
I
you
made
had?
I made quite a few friends later on. Maybe not earlier on, freshman and sophomore years, but back in junior and senior year, I had my own group of friends that
Did you drop
that
your
hung with.
band?
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, I didn't.
weren't
I wasn't
cut
as
out
good.
for
I didn't cut
band.
it.
I
I didn't cut it,
see,
and as my 8th grade year went on, I realized that it just wasn't for me. I
Well,
just didn't cut
what
the
changed
mustard.
your direction to the media?
I believe I just was interested in the field. I never met Miss Donegan before I got interested. It's not like I met her
Yes.
and got interested. It just kind of happened that.
You signed up for the class.
It's,
and-
well, I mean,
Oh,
TV. You go, well, I'm gonna,
yes,
I'm gonna watch me some TV, but it wasn't like
Yeah.
that at all. It wasn't like that at all.
It was a lot of hard work,
It was a lot
wasn't
of
it,
hard
Louis?
work, but it was a field that was really interesting, and I felt that it was something that could. That was I was real curious about, and maybe something that I could do.
Now, I know that when you were there as a student, you to get hands-on experience, you came down to the studio here. You did
Oh,
our
yes.
show
Yes.
back in the dark
It was
ages.
83, 84, 85. I was here.
Yes. And also, you all had to do all the football games, didn't you?
Yes. Yes.
And haul all that equipment around?
It was, yeah, I did that. It was almost like a part-time job here for me sometimes.
Yes, it was.
It's like I remember Robert Woolman was here.
Yes.
And Don Roper, who I still keep in contact with, as well as Rod Thomas, who I who also
Yeah.
taught me here as well. And yeah, it's
Yes, and plus you all had to haul all of that, the equipment around, and then be at different places like Western Days, and you got
Yeah.
lots of hands-on experience.
Yeah,
didn't you?
by the time I hit college, you know, I was pretty much up to par, or maybe even further advanced.
And you were
than all
our
the students.
very
Very
first scholarship recipient for the It's Happening in Grand Prairie
That's
TV
right.
scholarship.
That's right.
He was it.
I
He
was
was the
it.
first recipient.
Yeah, he wasn't there
and
when I was coming through.
I know, but he took his money and ran. Where'd you go?
I went to North Lake.
Tell me about North Lake. Going to
Oh.
North Lake.
Oh, that
Was it
uh,
worthwhile? Was
oh
it-
yes, definitely. It's a very worthwhile college to go to. I jumped right in. They had nice equipment, and I mean, everybody. I guess the main thing was everybody that was in it was really in it to learn, and the people that didn't want to be there found out a couple of weeks in that, you know, you're gonna have to drop this class and get out,
Yes.
because there's some students in here that are serious, and it was nice getting in groups with people that had almost the same common interests as you did.
After North Lake, what happened to Lewis? After college?
Well, when I was in North Lake, I got a call from a friend of mine, Vernon Cox, who was in this at South with me in the TV program, and he said that there was this job opening at Arlington Telecable,
Yes.
and I said, oh, that sounds great. It's kind of, you know, it's where I was before in cable, and I jumped right into it.
And I found you over there when I was judging the Arlington 4th of July parade, and he was out working in the hot sun.
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
that for a long time. I did that from 1988 till 85.
Okay.
Or no, it's 1988 through 1995, excuse
All
me.
right. What happened after Arlington Telecable?
Well, back, I believe, in May of '95, I got a call from Rod Thomas, the then producer, who also executive produced your show, and he said that there was going to be an opening here, and would I be interested?
Yes. Uh-huh.
And
So you came on board with TCI, or had TCI bought the?
well, TCI at that time, I believe, bought it and at that time was finishing their transaction.
Yes.
But at that time, yeah, that was part of TCI. And so I waited. I filled out applications, and I waited, and finally the number, you know,
Yes.
finally my
And
number
then
came
you
up, and
you
I'm here.
made that full circle.
And then I started here the first week of October.
And you had started here in October 10 or so years before.
Yeah, I made
show.
I made just about a complete circle as you can make.
But you were working for free for a long time,
Yeah.
and then he got money.
Yeah, yeah, that's.
What's it like to be the head of production here and have all of these students come from South Grand Prairie High, and you've been through the very same things they've been
Oh
through,
yeah,
Louis?
it's very nice to be able to see students interested in doing TV production, because I know almost exactly what they're going through. I've gone through the same thing, you know, 10 years ago.
Well, do you have a family of your own, Louis?
No, I'm a single man.
Now look,
Single
we
man,
can't even
eligible bachelor.
Yes, and then we have one of the camera persons over here cheering him on to keep on being a
Single man.
a single man and a bachelor, right?
They're only high school students. They don't know yet.
Yes, right. Now, Louis, we want to ask you if what you want to do when you grow up.
Boy, I think I'm still growing up, to tell you the truth.
And you're loving it here as the production
Oh yeah,
honcho.
yeah. It's a lot of fun coming back to your hometown and doing something that affects your community. And it's been a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun being here. I've never been my own boss before. And you know, I step out of having. I told my old Arlington fellows, I go, I stepped out of having a shelf in Arlington to have my own office.
Yes.
In Grand Prairie.
Yes.
And you know, that's
Of all
that
of
was
the,
a stepping stone.
Of
that
all
I
of
had
the
to
things
realize.
you've ever covered while you were in all of this, through college, through high school, through all of it, what's the most exciting event that you have been a part of, whether it was the taping or orchestrating or production or whatever?
Through my
Your-
schooling or my
Through
career?
through all of your television career.
Well, I work seasonal work, do some seasonal work for the Texas Rangers,
All right.
and I jumped on there in 1992.
Yes.
Where I am going through the present right now, and hopefully we'll get to the playoffs.
Yes.
You know, but,
and what do you do for them?
I work the video screen. I was there when it was Arlington Stadium. I did the still store pictures as well as the slow motion replays.
Yes.
For the video screen.
And what kind of an experience is this giving you?
That's the
that's
equipment I'm working with.
Yes.
You know, plus that as a young kid, I went to the Ranger games, you know, all the time. I sit out in the bleachers, and now here I am, now working for the Texas Rangers.
Back of the scenes, doing all this.
I mean, it's I took my love of baseball as well as the love of TV production and put it together. And I guess my exciting thing was I was able to see Kenny Rogers' perfect game. And I was able to see Nolan Ryan pitch.
Oh, right.
And I was at the All-Star game last year.
Yes.
And you know, hopefully we'll be in the playoffs this year. And then through the cable company, they did a press conference show from Valley Ranch, and I was able to go with the camera guy up to Valley Ranch and get inside the Cowboys compound over there and meet. You know, there's Barry Switzer right there, and then Emmitt Smith passes by you, and it's you see them.
That's an exciting thrill, isn't it?
Those are exciting thrills. You know, you never meet. You know, you don't think you're going to meet these people, or you know, even have a chance to look at them, and here they are passing right by you. Even though you're on the job, you know, there's still a little bit of excitement there.
Do you ever get to tell the boys and girls that you work with here at the studio? We have a new crew that has come on as of August the 31st or thereabout, and we have about 8 new faces here, some that came back from last year, but that's your crew. What do you think about your crew this year?
I think it's a good crew. I think a lot of them, I think that they want to do this. I really think that. I think they try. They try hard.
They have to work hard. You make them work hard.
I make them work. They don't sit around here and do nothing. You know, if you want to twiddle your thumbs,
you're in the wrong place.
Yeah, you do that back at school.
Yes.
You know, I'm going to put you on the camera and make you run audio and make you direct. Like as is now, I'm kind of worried right now. I got them all. I'm here and they're there, and I don't know whether this is coming through or not. But I think it is.
We're going to have this is going to be the supreme test of Louis Tovar's oversight of them since. But that's just been for a month and a half. See.
Yeah.
But
there's still some holdovers. I still have some holdover students from last year.
Mackenzie's here.
Mackenzie's here, and Kevin's here.
Kevin's here. Yes.
And Patrick is here.
Yeah. Yes.
And Mayla, she's just starting out this year, but she's picking up pretty fast. And hopefully, when I get done with them, I always said that
they'll be ready to go.
I can just leave once the show gets going, and they can do the whole thing.
Oh, that is.
And that's when you've learned that maybe you've taught them something.
Okay.
That they could take, you know.
We're going to get back to Jerry. Jerry, we'd like for you to look out into your camera and just tell us what has made you successful, what your philosophy of life was that has brought you to this point.
Well, I guess the philosophy my personal philosophy is to never give up. I mean, always keep, even if you have a specific dream, something you're aiming for, always keep it, somewhere in the back of your head. At the present time, it may not be there for you to achieve it, but, if it's meant to be, things will always come. And it's similar to my position now, coming full circle, going through the South program and finally being able to come back, years later, to actually teach these same kids the same things that Ms. Donegan taught me and watch them go into the industry, which I've been able to do.
That's wonderful. Louis, we're going to save your philosophy of life till the next taping because we're running out of tape and they're on to my case.
All right.
Thank you all for being here with us. And this is Ruthie Jackson reminding you that history is as we live and do.